preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Here we come, walking down the street. Get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, hey, we're the dads now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome. You are still muted, good sir. Welcome to today's episode of the Dads, not always on wrestling, here on the Jeff Meacham Network, on the Casa D18 Studios channel, not across the multiverse of media, just keeping it simple here today across the original two, if you will, the beginnings.
Yes, the dynamic duo, if you will. And yes, that's why he introed, because the Monkees are his jam, and he gave us the Monkees intro. You can't ask for anything more than that on a Thursday, folks.
I mean, what better way to intro a show about the Monkees than with the theme from the Monkees? And
that's right.
We'll be coming back to that in a little bit. But
a little bit, you know.
The Monkees, I won't necessarily go as far as to say they're my jam. Yes, I do love them. I grew up on them. I remember watching the episodes on MTV back in the 80s when they had their little resurgence there, and the Monkees were beginning their 20th anniversary celebration.
Background TV showed music.
Right?
Yeah. Just saying.
And much like the Beatles, much like Elvis, the Monkees were kind of pioneers in music video, because each episode of their TV show had a song that had, shenanigans connected to the episode, kind of spliced in with we won't call it a studio performance, but some kind of setting performance of the song. And, it was very much an early music video, to the point that when MTV got the rights to show the episodes, they actually started sucking those performances out of the episodes so they could throw them in rotation, because you got to figure right after the launch there, they didn't have a whole lot. Music video hadn't caught on yet.
No.
So they had to go to some of these things to find content. And with the 20th anniversary, a lot of the songs that you're going to hear us discuss here on the show today were shown in music video form on MTV.
That's it. It's when people
And
don't remember now looking back because it was over 40 years ago, which MTV's over 40. Let's just take that in for a minute and go grab our Ovaltine, our cookie, and resume the show. They were so hard up for content. That's why they partnered with the WWF. That's why they partnered with these other entities, because they had to fill time. And the WWF was a pop culture phenomenon in 83, 84, 85, etc. So it worked out for them. But yeah, some of this stuff, like I said, the Monkees show was on in the 60s? So yeah, 20 years. So
yeah,
but like as you said, they had a resurgence. So it worked. It fit the demo. Even then, demos were a thing for television stations. And Lord knows, if Jericho was around back then, he would have been the demo god, because he was a wrestler and a rock and roller. Jesus Christ, Chris Jericho would have ruled the world then.
Well, yeah. I mean, you figure the Monkees were the original boy band.
Yes.
And in the mid to late 80s, when they were having their 20th anniversary resurgence, New Edition was popular. We were just on the heels of getting the New Kids on the Block.
Yep.
Which was discovered by the same man who discovered New Edition, Maurice Starr. Yep. So essentially supposed to be the white New Edition. That was the goal.
Right. Yes.
He said it 100 times. So I'm not being funny. Right. I'm not being racist. That is essentially what New Kids were supposed to be, was the white New Edition.
No,
5
that's
members.
Why it's funny, because
singing pop R&B.
Yep. Yeah, that's.
And then, of course, down the road, we got Backstreet, we got NSYNC, we got 98 Degrees, we got O-Town, we got, the list goes on and on and on.
Right, of course.
But the Monkees were the original 4 boys that were discovered through an advertisement in Variety in order to create America's version of A Hard Day's Night in a television show.
Yep. And here we sit now, 40-something years later. More than that, shit.
60, almost 60 years later.
Yeah, 60-something. Yeah.
With only one of them still surviving, Mickey Dolenz.
How Mickey's a survivor is beyond me. I love Mickey. Don't get me wrong. But my goodness, he's the one that made it through. It's testament, I suppose. Jesus. Anyway.
So let's get right into this. We do have some honorable mentions kind of sprinkled throughout things.
Yes, we did.
We're going to kick things off with an honorable mention, and it's pretty much only here because it is the favorite song of the person I went to consult this list, to help create this list, my daughter Natalie. So honorable mention to Papa Jean's Blues, with lead vocals by her favorite Mike Nesmith.
There you go.
And again, I like the song. It's not one that I have to spin on a regular, even though it is on my Monkees playlist. I'll listen to it when it comes up, but it's not one of those that I actively seek out and hit play on.
Right.
But because she helped me put this list together, I made sure that we threw that on there.
Yeah, when we were talking about doing this, I admittedly said, I don't know if I have right here at the forefront 10 Monkee songs that I would actively have my regular playlist. And when you guys cultivated it, it's like, okay, I can see where these fit in. This wasn't one of them, but as you said, it's her favorite, and it's definitely not a bad song. It's hard pressed to find when a song from the 60s is considered one of the favorites of somebody that is 15 years old in 2024. That stands to say what a long lasting impact the song or the album or the group will have.
Right. And to Jeff's point, when he said that he couldn't come up with 10 songs, I listed 4 off right out the top, the 4 that I figure are the biggest Monkee songs, and those are our top 4. We'll get there when we get there.
Right.
And he's like, there's half of a list right there, damn near.
Pretty much. Yep.
You know, because I know you know these songs, if nothing else.
Sure. Yeah.
Now making our way to the list proper, and these first 4 songs are where they are because not because they're bad songs or anything like that, but I wanted to try to make sure at the very least each Monkee had one song that they have lead on
Right.
represented on this show.
Valid approach.
And when you figure that the one who sings lead on this next song, I'm not going to click it just yet, but when you figure that the one that sings the lead on this next song, I think has less lead vocals on Monkee albums than Ringo does Beatles albums.
Jesus.
You're hard pressed to find one to really feature him and give him his proper dues, because Peter admittedly did not have the greatest singing voice.
Right.
He knew it. He owned it. He essentially was the Ringo of the TV show. He was just that slapsticky goofball. He was the one that you knew that you could count on for the ha-ha.
Right.
Not like the others didn't have their comedic timing in their roles, but Peter was the goofball. So for his entry on the list, we go number 10, Your Auntie Griselda.
Nice.
The More of the Monkees album.
Yeah, see, this is one of the ones I hadn't heard of.
This is just a crazy, rowdy, raucous, garage rock, damn near early alternative grunge type of feel to this song. Yeah. The guitar is noisy, almost sloppy, but it fits because it's just that hard rock from a group of guys that at the end of the day were more bubblegum pop than anything.
That's valid.
This is probably about as close as the Monkees get to heavy metal.
That's true. That's very true. You know what's funny about... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Well, no, I was just saying...
Go ahead.
Man, the lag is so bad. I hate our technology. Anyway, I was just saying, it's funny to me looking back that he's the goof. He's admittedly the least vocally inclined. Still a great musician. But when you think about his personality, the fact that he ended up playing 2 episodes worth anyway, he didn't stay for the full run of the character because the character popped in and out a few times of the world. He played Topanga's father on Boy Meets World. And if anybody watched Boy Meets World and how quirky Topanga is, it makes all the damn sense in the world. It just does. I found it funny that it was him, and at the time when he played Topanga's father, it was just him. The mom wasn't interacting, and then he was just very quirky. He ended up being in an episode of Boy Meets World where all the surviving Monkees were in the episode in different roles, which was funnier than hell. But later, as the character unfortunately evolved a different direction, ended up being played by oh God, I forget which one he was, but one of the guys from Lenny and Squiggy. I think it was Lenny. Michael McKean. Great actor, funny guy, but he played it in a very serious way. So the fact that the first time we see Topanga's dad is this quirky guy, and it's like Peter, it's like, okay, that makes sense that he would be that guy. A lot of television roles and film roles over the years, besides the Monkees, which again showed his range. He again, not strong singing vocally, but still a strong presence.
Definitely. Peter was always my mom's favorite. And there's even an image that my mom has of Peter holding her pretty much.
Nice. Oh, I've seen that.
She was able to visit the set.
Yeah, that's right.
Her mom being in the industry, she was able to get to the set, and she met Peter.
never seen that picture.
So
now you
for
said it.
Mickey's song,
Yes.
on the list, coming in number 9 here, we go with a song that ironically was the flip side of our number 1, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Oh, that's true.
I'm
huh?
Not Your Stepping Stone.
See, this one I knew. This one I knew before we started today. So that's cool that it was on here.
Yeah.
It didn't go.
There it goes.
There it goes. Work you.
But yeah, Stepping Stone. Again, it's as bubblegum poppy as bubblegum pop can be.
Yes.
But it was so perfect for the time because the Beatles hadn't fully evolved just yet. They were on the cusp. They were starting to put out Rubber Soul. They were starting to put out Revolver, which of course would lead to Sgt. Pepper by the time this came out. But they were still putting out, things like Yellow Submarine.
Yes.
They were still putting things out like Nowhere Man and Drive My Car. So it's like they still had that little bit of the bubblegummy. They hadn't completely gone into the psychedelics.
Yeah.
So this came out just kind of at the perfect time to where it could kind of hang with those tracks, and it wasn't too little too late.
Yes. Yes.
And again, Mickey was their main singer. And for a guy that basically grew up on television as Corky in the old Circus Boy show,
right?
To know that he could sing like that is like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm digging this because Davey, everybody kind of knew that he could sing. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he had been the Artful Dodger on Broadway.
Right. Yeah. You
know?
can't not be
So it's
Broadway.
like we knew what he could do. He was on the same Ed Sullivan show that debuted the Beatles.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yes. That was like I learned during this show.
Mike and Peter established musicians.
Yep.
Mickey was kind of the dark horse here, like didn't really know what he could do. And then for him to come and basically be the lead vocalist on a good chunk of the songs that are on our list here today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's one of those. He almost comes off when you look at it. If you go back in the history of the thing and look at it going forward, it's like one of these things doesn't belong here. But it's like no, he showed he belonged right away.
Yeah, he wasn't as musically inclined as some of the others. But he did his due diligence. He learned the drums, and now he's an accomplished drummer.
Yeah.
There's always the joke going around about how the Stones are missing a bass player and a drummer, and the Beatles still have the living bass player and a drummer. Like, let's just throw Mickey in that mix, and you can have 2 drummers on that tour, and you can have Mick, Keith, Paul, Ringo, and Mickey.
Jesus Christ. Let's just sell this thing out.
Talk about a star-studded lineup.
I was going to say, let's just
take about the hits that all of them can sing.
Yeah. Let's just take everybody's damn money at once in one concert at the same time. Just make it happen.
Right?
Couldn't fit everybody in the Hollywood Bowl for something like that. It's fun to try.
Real. Moving to number 8 is our Mike song for this portion of the show. And I chose this one to make the list over Papa Gene's Blues, over some of his other ones. Because even though this came out when there were only 3 Monkees left, Peter had already left the group because he was done.
Right.
At this point, it was just Mickey, Mike, and Davey. But even though this came out really late in their career, I always listened to it and think that this was probably written during the early days because Mike and Peter were the ones that really had an issue with the people controlling their music and them not being able to play on their own records, only being able to sing. and that is Listen to the Band. I
Right?
always read the lyrics of the song and listen to it as, hey, motherfuckers, we're the ones on stage,
Yeah.
we're the ones in front of the camera. You might want to listen to us in our input.
Yeah.
Listen to the fucking band.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I do the same thing.
That
Yeah.
that's the way I've always kind of looked at that song. So it was like, okay, this is Mike's fuck you to everybody that tried to produce them and make them sound a certain way. And for that
Yes.
reason alone, it needs to be on the list because it's
Absolutely.
essentially one of the earliest diss tracks.
Yes. Yes. And as content creators, we deal with that every day. So
Mhm.
yeah, luckily, I mean, we are self-contained. A lot of the people out there in the wrestling podcast game are not self-contained. They have to answer to a higher power. No offense, so very much relevant to us and to what we do. I love that this is on here because yeah, like you said, this is the original, diss track, and also, bucking against management. It's like, nah, man, this is our shit.
Absolutely. So, wrapping up this portion of the list at number 7 is our Davy centric song. And we will get Davy a little bit later on the list. But again, I wanted to make sure we got one of each before we really started to get deep here. And for Davy, I went with the track from the debut album, I Want to Be Free. This song is just so simplistic. You've basically got a little bit of orchestra, you got a little bit of piano, and it's just Davy's voice. And it's just almost haunting how beautiful it is. If you haven't heard it, I implore everybody to go look that song up on Spotify, give it some clicks and some listens. It is just a gorgeous track.
Very fitting title. Just want to be free. It's just very, like you said, simplistic. It's the quote unquote basic simple music and Davy's voice, and it just carries you through this track, man. It is beautiful. You definitely had that pegged perfectly.
So as we transition now to our next honorable mention, this one may catch some people a little bit off guard because I want to say, aside from Walk This Way, Run DMC and Aerosmith, this was the first sampled song that I truly recognized in hip hop music, as Run DMC once again sampled and put their own twist on Mary Mary.
Yes, that's right. That's true.
They used Mickey's voice, slowed it down a little bit, and they used some of Mike's guitar.
Yes.
Then they added their own lyrics for the rap portion, but they sampled Mickey's Mary Mary, and then Run DMC would come in with their part. Then you'd hear some of Mike's guitar. Just the fact that in 86, 87, 88, whenever it was right around the 20th celebration of the Monkees,
Yep.
hip hop was taking this and putting their spin on it. You
Yeah.
want to talk about showing how influential the Monkees could be? Run
Yeah.
DMC, the kings of rock themselves, are putting their own little twist on the Monkees.
Yes. You mentioned,
And for that reason alone, that's why it's an honorable mention and it had to be included on this list.
absolutely. You mentioned Aerosmith. Shout out briefly to Aerosmith and Steven Tyler. Hell of a run. Good that they're bowing out and recognizing that it's time. But my God, so mad at myself I never got to see him live. But goddamn, you talk about legends, talk about influencers. Fuck me. Bravo to the boys in Aerosmith.
Definitely. Ha ha, Walter. Ha ha.
Save the jokes for on air. Damn it. We need that shit tomorrow night. We've got no Noah tomorrow. We gotta have some good shit tomorrow.
You got no Noah and no me.
Oh, piss. That's right. Oh God. Okay. I'm about to think about my producing. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. But yes.
So Mary, Mary. Now, kicking back over to the list proper.
Yes.
We went through 4 songs highlighting lead vocals of each Monkee.
Yes.
Number 6 features 3 of the 4 in prominent vocal roles. Davy and Peter on lead, and Mickey on the chorus. And that's Shades of Grey.
Nice. Love it.
And again, for everybody that ridicules Peter's vocal talents, Peter can sing on this track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He showed up and showed out for this one. But yeah.
For real. And again, very slow, very haunting, very melodic, very simplistic. Davy comes in with the first verse. Mickey comes in on the chorus. Peter kind of ends the chorus with the Only Shades of Grey and then goes into his verse. Mickey comes back for another chorus. Easy peasy. And it stays with you for a little bit. Usually it's the rockers.
Yeah.
It's the more up-tempo songs that stick with you. But the fact that 3 of the 4 have main vocal parts on this, after a little bit of time going through their discography and realizing that it's usually just one and maybe a combination, harmony for some of the choruses, but
right.
Usually that's just one lead vocal. That really kind of starts to stick in your head and you notice, be like, wait a minute. I distinctly heard Davy, Mickey, and Peter.
Yes.
Not some blending of the voices.
No.
Like I said, verse, chorus, verse. Identifiable.
Yep.
And because of that, it sticks.
Absolutely. I'm glad I let the lag clear up and you said, usually the rockers stick with you. I was going to say, well, yeah, the rockers stick with you. Janae was such a coward diving through the window of the barbershop like that. What a jerk.
God damn it.
Sorry. Come on, I got to tie it into wrestling somehow. He's a coward.
Damn it, Jeff, you
shame on him.
Freaking idiot. Noah's not here.
That's right. Noah's not here. And we found out what happens when Noah's not around to police us dumbasses, because look at Mike Knight.
That's right.
That's right. We are dangerous on our own, kids. We need that.
But also, when nobody's around to police Noah, he ends up inserting his foot down his throat.
That's it. We all need that.
Saying that he'd rather support Chase University than the Learning Tree.
Admitted on air in front of everybody on Tuesday, and by God, he will rue the day that was allowed to go out over the air. I tell you what,
because that'll be part of our highlight package.
Oh yes, he was mad at you, and it made for a beautiful highlight. What's looking like for the first time that show won't be on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. It's going to be the day of Wrestle Kingdom because the calendar's so screwy. Anyway.
Coming in at number 5, the halfway point, is my favorite Monkee song.
Okay.
And yes, my favorite Monkee song made the list because number 1, I ranked the shit.
Yeah.
And number two, if we're being honest, it was a more notable track than my daughter's favorite track.
Yes. Valid.
My daughter's favorite track is a deep cut on an album.
Yes.
Mine was released as a single and, still kind of gets some radio play today, and that is Pleasant Valley Sunday. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, it'll be on the wheel when we do our beach party karaoke in a week or so.
Wait a minute. I do
As the
declare we can promote that shit right there, just like that.
There we go.
A week from tomorrow, a week from
As
Saturday.
while it doesn't necessarily mention summer, it definitely paints a summertime feel to it.
Oh, yes.
But Pleasant Valley Sunday is just, it's another one of those almost garage rock type of songs.
It definitely has that
And
feel. Yeah.
the intro line helps to paint that feel. You know, the local rock group down the street is trying hard to learn their song. Most groups that are playing in a little town like that are practicing in their garage.
Absolutely.
Right, Pop? You know,
Yes.
Pop had his own little band in the 60s.
Yeah, we talked about
You
that when he
know?
was on with us.
So they all get their practice out in the garage. Because God knows the parents don't want them practicing in the house. Take that shit outside.
Get that shit out of here. That's it. I need that and hear that noise in my home. It is a valid question, though.
Mhm.
I would love to have been able to talk to one of the. I know Mickey's still alive, but yeah, you know, trying to get time with a monkey. Like, good luck with that. But interesting question. Interesting question. With any of these bands, really, like I'd like to know. You know, even now with the groups that have more than one vocalist, like how do you decide who takes the lead? And I would think for me, it would just be a matter of, you know, having the words again and going, okay, this would probably fit Davey better. This would probably, you know, Mickey better, or, you know, whatever. And just, you know, having that group discussion. I guess it would depend on the group, because some groups are not as negotiable as others.
Well, Don Kirshner definitely had the Midas touch when it came to that type of thing. For a lot of groups, you know, like in the Beatles case, whoever wrote the song sang the lead on it.
It's valid.
Because it was their child, essentially, you know, they wrote it.
Yes.
In instances like this, where a lot of the Monkees' early songs prior to Headquarters were outsourced, you know, Neil Diamond and Boyce and Hart and some of the other artists of the time, you know, writing songs for them.
Yes.
I think it just became a matter of, is it a rocker or is it a ballad?
Right.
If it's a rocker, give it to Mickey. If it's a ballad, give it to Davey.
I think it's a fair trade-off. Absolutely. Ding-a-ling.
Hey. $5 super chat from Pop. Thank you very much, good sir. Always appreciate your donations.
Ding, ding goes the till. As it do.
Number 4 on our list, before we get to our next honorable mention, starts off the list of songs that I shouted out to Jeff when he first said, I don't know if I know that many Monkee songs. It was their first single.
Yep.
It is The Last Train to Clarksville.
Yes. Very familiar.
And people may be surprised that it's only number 4. But again, guys, be patient. If this is number 4, how much bigger do you think 3, 2, and 1 are?
Let it cook, kids. We sound so old.
Last Train to Clarksville. I know.
It's ridiculous. Like, I'm not that fucking old, but we sound old when we say shit like that. It bothers me incessantly and irrationally. I hate that. Anyway, as you were.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, we can throw to a trailer real quick while you go get your Ovaltine and your oatmeal raisin cookie there, old timer.
Right.
Come back in with your cane.
That's it.
But I mean, you know, I'm the guy that needs a back brace when I go to work. So
yeah.
But Last Train to Clarksville, you know, again, I think it was a great song to kind of introduce the world to them.
Absolutely.
and the harmonies on it, the way Mike especially hits those harmonizing notes and sounds like a train whistle at the same time.
Right?
I think that was just so beautifully done, you know. Kudos to Nez on that because again, Nesmith doesn't get the credit he deserves as a lyricist either, as a vocal person. I mean, hell, he wrote one of Linda Ronstadt's biggest hits, Different Drum. That was a Mike Nesmith written song.
Oh, trust me, I know that one. So
I know you know that one.
yes.
I know you know that one.
Great lyrics. And you know, it's that voice with those lyrics just swoon. Even now, my dad all these years later. But you know, it fits. It fits most of the couples in my life, if I'm being honest. A lot of them march the beat of a different drum more often than not, but shit, they make it work.
Exactly. And that's the key, as long as they make it work. So we go from Clarksville to another honorable mention.
Yes.
And I definitely had to make sure I typed this correctly because when I was conversing with my associate, my counterpart, Natalie, about this,
Yes.
I kept calling this song I'm Only Sleeping. I'm Only Sleeping is a Beatles song.
Yes.
So I had to make sure that I corrected myself with her. Thankfully, it was a conversation with her and not Noah. Otherwise, he'd have been shouting botch every couple of seconds.
Valid.
Love Noah, but we know how he is.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But this honorable mention goes to Love is Only Sleeping.
Okay. I can see the confusion.
But again, another solid track. I believe this is the last track on the list that has Mike on the lead here.
Think so.
And just his range in this song, you know, he goes from like this level of pitch for a good chunk of the song. Then when he hits the sleeping, he goes up a couple of notches. So effortlessly.
Yes.
Spit that out.
Right?
So effortlessly. And just great subtleness in it.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves as a lyricist or a vocalist.
No, he doesn't.
And God knows if I didn't mention him as Princess Gwen, Natalie would Batman smack me.
Yes.
You know, next time she sees me.
Absolutely.
But his portrayal as Princess Gwen in the one episode, with Peter delivering the straight person lines of all things to Princess Gwen, Peter
Right.
Tork having to be the straight man in a scene. That'd be like Costello trying to be Abbott's lines.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's like
No.
yeah, you're sitting there. Yeah. It don't make no sense.
Craziness, but Love is Only Sleeping, another very underrated Monkee song that I wanted to throw on here. Do yourself a solid. Look it up if you've never heard it.
We will make this list available to the
Getting
public
back to
once we're done here.
yes, because I sent Jeff a YouTube link.
Yes.
All these songs. All we got to do is put that link in the description.
Yep. Which we can do that.
Going back to the main list proper. I don't know how to introduce it any better than it's the way I brought us into the show.
Yeah.
It's the theme to the Monkees.
Yeah.
And again, some of y'all may be wondering, like, why is the theme to the Monkees only at number 3? It's like, guys, think about their discography. Think about the songs that you haven't heard us talk about yet. Admit to yourself that those songs are bigger than the theme.
Yes.
Let's just be real.
And I will throw it out there before we get there. One of the songs above this one, even where I went on Thursday, I was still hearing that song even now in 2024 because of
Of
its
course.
relevancy to a certain aspect of the universal family. But
Of course. And I was definitely going to get to that when we got to that song.
Yes, and
But the
I
theme
will
to the
let you.
Monkees, I mean, but the theme to the Monkees, you know, much like Clarksville, what better way to introduce the world?
Yeah.
You know, it literally told you exactly who they were.
Yes.
And there's no better way to intro a group than that. I mean, I'm sure to this day that's still the song that intros Mickey when he does his live performances.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because how do you start a Monkee concert with anything other than the theme to the Monkees? Period.
No, you're absolutely right.
It doesn't matter if there's 4 of them on stage, 3 of them on stage, 2 of them on stage, or just one now like there is. How do you intro a Monkees show with a monkey performing with anything other than the theme from the Monkees?
Yes. And that phrase to introduce.
You just don't.
Yeah, no. That phrase introduced carries on through pop culture. I talk about Universal. I run into Krusty the Clown in Springfield. I walk up to him, hey, hey, and I give him the. I'm not doing the crest. I'm going to throw my throat out, but he popped for it. I mean, non-verbally because they can't verbalize, but yeah, he popped for it. One of my favorite podcast hosts. Every show, his Twitter handle, hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Can't tell me that's not Monkees influenced. You can't. And if you can, Conrad, then fine. I'll issue a retraction. But until then, I'm going with it.
Unlike other internet wrestling journalists who don't retract when they're wrong.
That's why I'm not a journalist. I'm just a man that admits when he's wrong. Which again, it's a whole other show.
There you go.
There's the one for the day, kids. We'll see you later. All right, so wrestling themed number 2. Oh, he's thinking. Uh-oh.
Okay. I was showing that I was dipping on my side, so I wanted to wait so I didn't go re-row.
All right. There will be no re-rowing.
So number two on my list, and I'll be honest, my daughter and I went back and forth about which should be number 2, which could be number 1, because
yes,
really it's one of those 1A, 1B type of situations. I mean, hell,
absolutely.
They even share a word in the title.
Yes.
But it's like, which one are we going to put number 2? Which one are we going to put a number 1? And I'll give my reasons why number 1 became number 1 when I get to number 1. But number 2 is Daydream Believer.
Love this song. 2 pieces.
It's Davey's masterpiece at the end of the day.
No,
it's
his
signature song.
Absolutely.
It just is. And I mean, the little shimmy that he breaks out towards the end of the music video, stolen by Axl Rose.
Oh God, yeah. For Sweet Child, absolutely, 100%.
That is totally the Davey.
It's totally the Davey.
And if anybody wants to try to tell me otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
No, even Jericho, when he came on and did Sweet Child with Paradise Kitty on their cruise, he's like, dude, this is such a Davey dance. What the hell? It's like, yeah, you would know.
But I remember listening to this song on my record player,
Oh,
on the vinyl I had, handwriting the lyrics
nice.
because I loved the song that much.
Hell yeah, man. It's a great song.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of it that you kind of wonder, what does it mean? Like even in the VH1 movie Daydream Believers,
Right.
Davey's like, what the hell does some of this stuff even mean?
That's the beautiful part of it.
And you can kind of feel him on that because it's like, okay. But it was the psychedelic era.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This very much was, I want to say this was like 68 because it was from the Birds, the Bees, and the Monkees. It was one of the last albums they did as a quartet.
Yes.
Before Peter left. And
yes.
It's just so good.
No, it really is. And it's
it just is.
The people that go, what does that mean? It's like, this is the era where you just go, you know what? It doesn't matter what it means. It just doesn't. The music lyrics, just let it be, man. Just let it happen. Just let it happen.
It's the era where you go, what does any of it mean, man?
Yeah, but that's valid.
Like, seriously.
That's 100% valid. But for us non-tokers, it's like, the music's still so fucking good. You can still ask a question without sitting there with a doobie in your mouth. It's all good.
All right. Before we get to number one, our last honorable mention.
And if you don't know what it is by now, considering he gave you the clue. Anyway.
But our last honorable mention is a song that really, kind of going back to what I just mentioned, that Daydream Believers movie, I want to say that was the first time I really noticed the song. Like, I may have heard it on the Monkees show back in the day. I don't remember if it was on an episode, but it wasn't on any of their albums.
No.
It didn't come out until one of their Lost and Found albums much, much later.
Yes.
So I think the first time I actually heard it was in the movie. And I immediately gravitated towards it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a Mickey song. And in the movie, Mickey is played by Aaron Lohr, Dean Portman of the Bash Brothers fame. Number two, it's a Mickey song that has a very calliope organs type of circus feel to it.
True.
Circus boy, Corky. I always kind of wonder if that was done intentionally as a little nod to where Mickey came from. But the song in question is All of Your Toys. And it's just, yeah, right. Ask for the Monkees LP album.
That's right. It's like, just in
ask
case
your local record stores. Ask your record store to order this if they're not already carrying it.
Such a dated thing now, but it's so funny to see that shit on albums and stuff from back then.
That's how Brian Epstein became to know of the Beatles, because freaking kids were coming in asking for My Bonnie, and he didn't know who the hell this group was. So him running in record store had to get on the phone and start ordering the records.
The rest is history.
Then he went down to the cavern, that cellar full of noise, and the rest, as you said, is history.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. I just found it funny.
All of Your Toys, it's just such an up-tempo, bouncy, the way the drums kick in, Mickey's vocal on the track, it's just a fun song, to the point where I played it for Jordan here because of the possibility of him sampling that calliope organ for one of his songs.
Nice.
And he really kind of gravitated towards it, was like, you know what, that's that's pretty cool. I think I can work something with that. So coming soon, we may have a song by him that kind of samples that.
I like that. That's cool. Before he gets to number one,
That's what I do. That's what I do with him. Is like I try to find the obscure shit that people aren't gonna really know of his generation, his era, to try to dust that off and expose it to another generation. You were just about to say before we get to number one.
Well, yeah. First of all, that's what it's about, man. But paying that forward, whether it's a good deed, whether it's music should always be put forward to the next generation, because that is arguably the thing that brings us together more than anything. Music is all encompassing, and we were talking about what makes it work, and your dad put it best: musical magical imagery. Like, that's what music does. It invokes imagery in our brain. It hits that button, if you will, that just generates images of magic and everything in our brain. Very, very educator like by Jerry there. I like that.
Yep, absolutely. A good song, you can just close your eyes and you can imagine in front of you your own little music video.
Yep.
Set to the story.
Yep.
So, brings us to number one. And again, if you haven't figured out by now, then have a good day. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks for making it this long. But if you haven't figured it out by now, then I don't know what to say. But coming in at number one, my pick, our pick, for the greatest Monkee song, I'm a Believer.
Which I do agree with, by the way. But before I even that was going to be my number one full collaboration anyway. So,
but like I said, it really is a toss-up.
No, it is.
Harvey Dent flipped the coin between I'm a Believer and Daydream Believer.
Yes.
But I went with I'm a Believer because on its own, it was a very successful song.
Yes.
One of the Monkees' signature songs.
Yes.
And then, much as we were just talking about exposing new generations, come 2001, there was a little DreamWorks movie called Shrek.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which goes back to the story that Jeff was talking about, being in Universal Studios and hearing the song.
Yeah, it's just so.
And I'm a Believer was featured not once in Shrek.
Oh no,
but twice, as both Eddie Murphy as Donkey performed it at the very end, and then it kicked into the Smash Mouth version for the end credits.
Yep.
So you got two different versions of this track on the same soundtrack album.
Yeah. It's
one by Eddie Murphy, who admittedly not the greatest singer in the world. He can carry a tune in a bucket, unlike me.
Oh yeah.
God help all of y'all. I hope you have your earplugs ready come beach party karaoke, because I'm gonna be forced to sing again.
Yes.
But Eddie Murphy can at least carry a tune in a bucket. Smash Mouth, on the other hand, this was the next step to launching them into the stratosphere. They were coming down from the high that was All Star, which ironically was in the beginning of Shrek, and I'm a Believer was their next major hit to kind of take them to that next level.
That's Mike Myers and DreamWorks going, these guys got something. Let's just. But yeah, I told the story because, for those of you that have not been to Universal in a minute, across from Universal Plaza, one of the features is, it's currently called the Kung Fu Panda Theater. It's basically a DreamWorks showcase, is what it is. And outside the theater, at the ticket booth behind a curtain, is an animatronic donkey. And I don't know who did it, but he was, they were just, I'm sure there's like pre-programmed stuff. I'm sure it's very much like Mr. Potato Head at California Adventure where there's somebody back there actually, monitoring it. Somebody walked by and sang the first line, and that damn donkey went off and did the whole course. And I was sitting in the class and just chuckling my ass off to know, and I wish I'd have filmed it, to be honest with you. I just didn't even think about it. I was just so immersed in the moment. But it was just so funny that it's like, man, even now, nearly a quarter century later, 60 years after the fact for the Monkees, that song is still just instantly identifiable that an entire group of people, a fourth of my age, if I'm being real, are sitting there singing with an animatronic figure. I'm a believer. I just found that so, and when I remember we were doing the show, I'm like, I have to bring this up now. Like, it has to be a thing.
Of course
Beautiful.
it does. And I mean,
such a great moment.
And to your point about Mike Myers would use him again in his very, very, very abysmal Cat in the Hat movie.
Oh yes,
as they did a version of the Beatles getting better on the soundtrack.
Yeah, this is true.
So once Mike Myers gravitated towards them, man, he stuck with them. He knew that they were good for business. The movie sucked balls. When the soundtrack sells better than the movie, you got a problem.
That just shows the power of music, though. Getting back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago. That the Cat in the Hat movie should have been one of the greatest things in the history of mankind, and it just wasn't. Soundtrack, freaking, as we say, banger, because
I feel like I'm sorry to cut you off. I feel like the Cat in the Hat movie was on shaky ground as it was because Jim Carrey's Grinch was so polarizing to people at the time.
Valid.
I'm not sure that the Cat in the Hat a year or two later was the way to go. Because people were still people have come around to Jim Carrey's Grinch here now some 25 years later almost.
Yeah.
But in the heat of the moment, making the Grinch a sympathetic character, making a 2.5 hour movie out of a 25-minute television cartoon special.
Yeah.
People were very divided on that in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Cat in the Hat did and has done a lot better as a PBS generated cartoon show. Absolutely. But the movie, it's rough. But like I said, soundtrack, it doesn't make up for it, but it's still a damn good soundtrack.
So that is our top 10 songs by Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, Michael Nesmith, and Davy Jones, collectively known as the Monkees. What do you think? Did we hit the nail on the head? Did we miss something? Even if it was just an honorable mention, did we miss something? Do you agree with our number one? Would you have put Daydream Believer as number one instead of I'm a Believer? Would you have put the theme song or Clarksville or something else as number one? Let us know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And now, to turn things over to the show portion of the show.
Yes.
Jeff?
I will say this. People are going to say what they're going to say about this list. They're going to say what they're going to say about the polarizing nature of the Cat in the Hat and the Grinch. But you want to talk about a topic that is going to polarize the multiverse of media, by God. The show we're doing in 2 weeks, it's going to cost some shit. Because we have more than 10 for the record for this next show. As a matter of fact, we've got 2 separate lists of 10. That's how good these guys are at what they do, and they don't get enough credit for it.
I have 32 songs that I whittled it down to.
Yeah. Yes, that's right, kids. The top WWE themes by Def Rebel, both lyrical and instrumental. And I apologize, Def Rebel, for the render. That's the best picture I could find of the three of y'all. Y'all need to bounce better shit. Good grief, Charlie Brown. But that's our show in 2 weeks on JJ's birthday, no less.
I'm glad you admitted to me that that's who Def Rebel is, because I have never seen Def Rebel, so I didn't know.
Right?
The one on the far left, closest to our logos, and the DADS logo, kind of looked like Mr. Beast to me. The guy on the far other end kind of looked like a dorky high school college picture of Chester Bennington.
Yeah.
And the dude in the middle looked like a wannabe Guy Fieri. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Right?
I'm like, this is Def Rebel? Okay.
That's Def Rebel. Yeah. And I went, this is why they haven't put out a promotional picture, because what the fuck are we doing? And Jerry, we thank you for that. Like I said, it's one of those. This is definitely a JJ production, much like the show 2 weeks ago was spearheaded by me. But both of them,
JJ and a Natalie production. Let's give my daughter some credit. She helped me.
Yes. And it was definitely I will go along for the ride because I can wax enough proxy. But we appreciate the compliment, because it was definitely harder for me this week than it was 2 weeks ago. So yes, in 2 weeks we'll be back talking about Def Rebel and their best WWE themes. And yes, we do have enough where we have both a lyrical list and an instrumental list. And that's going to piss a lot of you off. I don't care.
But we're here for it.
We're here for it. Please bring the conversation. So,
and remember, if you want to dictate the conversation while we're doing that show, super chat.
Yes, it is really as simple as that, despite belief to the contrary, apparently. But I digress. That was a little petty, but again, there's the other one. All right. This week, situation normal for the most part. We do have Impact coming up in a couple hours, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. And yes, we'll be relying on the TNA Plus / YouTube broadcast as Noah and JJ are on the call.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be our coverage of Impact. And yes, it has been announced that one of the parties in the Ultimate X qualifier is an NXT personality. Let's fucking go on that one. Looking forward to that one in a couple hours.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow, of course, Ask Me Anything. People, I appreciate the nature of the plug, so I don't have the date on there. It is tomorrow at its usual 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. The reason I use those images is because a lot of times I don't have questions come in. But August 9th is very relevant to all 4 of those images I used in the lower third. So keep that in mind as we move forward to Friday. Also on Friday, of course, the Tribal Chief has returned, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what Solo Sikoa says. And we're here to cover it. We want to see what Roman Reigns has to say. So we'll be covering it, as JJ mentioned. No Noah, no JJ on that show. But we will provide our coverage of SmackDown. We will talk about it on open mic night so we can get Noah and JJ's thoughts on Roman Reigns' return to TV proper, because it will be addressed. Has to be. We're still coming down from the pop we heard from Cleveland Brown Stadium on Saturday about the return to Roman Reigns. So much to be discussed. Saturday, we're going to have a rare watch-along of Collision. And that is 100% completely without a doubt the fault of La Mera Virtuosa, La Mera and the Virtuosa, Thunder Rosa, and Deonna Purrazzo in a Texas Bull Rope match. Will be part of that show. So if you guys don't watch Collision on the Norm, watch along with us on Saturday night on TNT. And a splendid time will likely be had, at least during that match, because that's going to be a barn burner. And, of course, we close out our week, as we do, with open mic night right around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, depending on everybody's times and everything. But we will do our best. And then Sunday will be best. With any freaking luck.
Yeah, if that match is not the main event, then I don't know what they're doing.
I don't either yet.
Because as of right now, that is still the only match they have even announced for Collision.
Yeah.
They've announced the full card for tomorrow's Rampage, but they have announced nothing but that for Collision. So if that jerks the curtain, if that's at the top of hour one, beginning of hour two, end of hour one, what the hell are they doing? That needs to be the main event.
Is Collision live on Saturday?
Don't know.
Because that could be a thing too. If it's live, they may not have the card fully formulated. They're going to see how the reaction is to Rampage, how the Dynamite numbers do, and go from there. Because Collision, the fact that I didn't know what time Collision started, because I had us going at 6:30, and Noah was like, okay, and I'm like, oh wait, they started at 8 o'clock, so 5 o'clock here, so 7:30 will be the start time, not 6:30 like was advertised yesterday. And again, that's my bad. I don't watch Collision just because Saturdays are crazy until I get in front of this desk and do a mic night with everybody. But yeah, we will finish up a mic night Saturday night. We will talk about Roman Reigns. We will be talking about the news and notes that's fit to be talked about on Saturday. We'll bring the shiz up, and then we'll hit the reset button and start again Monday.
Sounds like a plan to me, sir.
Every once in a while I come up with a good one. It does happen from time to time.
Every now and again.
But we do thank everybody watching who has watched along with us, talking about the Monkees and looking back on the history of music as only JJ and I can do. We thank everybody. We thank Jerry for the super chat, of course, and we encourage everybody to come back in 2 weeks. Oh, actually, no, there's one more image in there that I didn't address. So,
well, no. I just put that in there to share with you afterwards.
Well, then we're going to get off there so I can talk about it. Thank you all for watching today. Please come back. We double dog dare your asses in 2 weeks when we talk about Def Rebel. Please give us an opinion. We want to know what you guys think. We're pretty certain what everybody usually thinks of Def Rebel, but when we give our choices, call our bluff. Prove us wrong. That's all we ask.
Yep.
They do have some good shit, pal. So, but until
stop us when we're telling lies.
For now, I shall stop us when we're done making our point, because that's what we did today. Thank you for watching. He's the Renegade. I'm the Meech. We'll see you next time.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.